Hey guys, this is God of Politics. Welcome back to a brand new video, and in this video I will be taking the political compass test. This is the first time I've done the test for a video since I think like March, so it's been about 7-8 months since I've done it. It's been quite a long time, but I will be doing it again, and you might see some different results from what you may have seen in the last video. If you watched me back then, I had about 1/10 of the amount of subscribers I have now. But anyway, you may disagree with some of the things I say, and that's all right. You can comment down on what you could disagree with. We can debate it, talk about it, whatever. But I have gotten a lot of responses saying people want to hear more about my opinions and my beliefs on politics, things like that. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be taking the political compass test again. If you want to see any other political tests that you want me to take, then just comment that down below as well. So to get started, if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I guess I strongly disagree with it. Strongly agree with this. I think that is definitely who they should serve. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I strongly disagree with this. That's completely ridiculous. If your country is wrong, you shouldn't support them with it. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I think I disagree with this. I think you can still be proud of your country even though you didn't choose it at birth. I think you can still like certain aspects of the country and still be proud of it. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. I strongly disagree with this. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Strongly disagree with that as well. Your enemy of your enemy can, be your enemy as well. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I strongly disagree with this. International law is there for a reason. We shouldn't be violating it and holding others to the standard that we're not going to keep up with ourselves. There's now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I do think this is true. There's a lot of fake news going around. People can't distinguish between what's true and what's not, and then that becomes an issue. The next page here, people are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. I strongly agree with this. If you look at people who are poor in different countries, they do have, strikingly, a lot of similarities with each other, whereas people who are of different classes in the same countries do have a lot of differences with each other. So I think when it comes down to it, people are more, divided by class and by nationality. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I strongly agree with this. You could be in the Soviet Union, which, everybody was employed, but it was still a terrible economy. So, in our capitalistic economy that we have in the United States now, when you have high inflation, that's eventually going to lead to an economic downturn, and that is not what you want, and that's more important than having lower unemployment, which, it's a good thing to have low unemployment, but inflation is definitely more important. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I strongly agree with this. We should be definitely regulating companies for environmental standards. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. I strongly disagree with this. This is, the basis of communism, and I don't agree with communism. The freer the market, the freer the people. I strongly disagree with this. I think that if you free up the market, eventually people, will end up not in a freer position. That doesn't mean we can't have a free market where people, can use the capitalistic economy to help them. But the freer the market does not, make people more free. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. I think I disagree with this. I don't necessarily think that's a sad reflection. I think that's just the nature of humans. They're going to turn something into a branded consumer product, and that's the nature of what humans will be like. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I strongly disagree with this. If it's your property, your land, you can, sell it as a commodity however you wish. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. I disagree with this. I think as long as they're acting within the bounds of the law, and then that's okay. If they're doing something that is unethical or something that is not good, it probably shouldn't be legal in the first place. But as long as they're following the law, then that's fine. I would advocate to change the law so that they wouldn't contribute nothing to society and they wouldn't manipulate the money. But if they are doing that and it's within the bounds of the law, I don't think it's necessarily regrettable. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I strongly disagree with this. I think free trade is a good thing, and I think that we should promote it around the world. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. I strongly disagree with this. They have a social responsibility to do things like, giving their workers good working conditions, giving them health care. That's a social responsibility. It's not necessarily a legal responsibility, but it is a social responsibility that they have. And so delivering a profit to the shareholders is not the only responsibility. So I do strongly disagree with that. The rich are too highly taxed. I strongly disagree with this. We should be raising taxes on the rich. Those with the ability to pay should have higher access to higher standards of medical care. I disagree with this. I don't think that paying more should equal better standards of medical care, but there's not really any way around that in the system that we have now. It's very difficult to get around that, but I do, on principle, I do disagree with that. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I think I disagree with this. Sure, maybe if you're like a pharmaceutical company that's lying about what's in your drug, that could be a problem and you could be penalized for that, but overall, I'm a proponent of free speech, and I think that, people should be able to see through what businesses are saying, and if they're misleading, then people are just going to go to another business. But that doesn't mean you can't regulate them on certain things, which is why I'm saying disagree and not strongly disagree. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I strongly agree with this. If you're going to have a free market, you're also going to need to have the ability to restrict multinational companies that create monopolies by competing with other companies and eventually becoming a monopoly. We need to be able to regulate that in order to have a truly free market. Abortion when a woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal. I strongly disagree. All authority should be questioned. I agree with that. The authority figure has to prove to everybody else that they should have the authority, not vice versa. It shouldn't be the people who are being governed by the authority have to prove why the authority figure is not good. It is the authority figure that has to prove why they should be an authority. So it is right to question that authority, and I strongly agree with that. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, I think, strongly disagree. I think it's counterproductive to do this. Sure, you punish people when they do something bad, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a reciprocal punishment. There can be, a different kind of punishment, like rehabilitation, things like that. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I disagree with this. I strongly disagree with this because, there's a reason that the taxpayers are paying for it, because a private company would never pay for these certain things if they can't survive on a commercial basis, but that doesn't mean that they're crucial to being in society. So I do think that it is something they should be expected to do. We don't need to go overboard with it, but I think it is something that we definitely should have in society. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I strongly disagree. I strongly agree. They should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I don't think you should be forcing people to go to school. You should be encouraging people to go to school, but you shouldn't be, making it compulsory. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people keep to their own kind. I strongly disagree with that. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. I strongly disagree with that. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. I strongly agree. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I strongly agree with that. There's no reason that marijuana should not be illegal at this point. The prime function of schooling should be equip the future generation to find jobs. Overall, I think this is probably true. I think it's the best thing of school is teaching people how to, adapt to the nature of our competitive economy, and teaching them to find jobs is a big part of that. But that doesn't mean it's the only thing you're teaching, right? I just think it should be the main thing that you're teaching them. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. I strongly disagree with this. You shouldn't be telling someone they are not allowed to have children. That's ridiculous. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. I don't think that's true. That's not the most important thing. There are no savage or civilized people. There are only different cultures. I strongly agree with that. You're not going to say another culture is savage or civilized just because it's different from yours. It is just a different culture. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. I strongly agree with this. I'm a proponent of giving welfare to people and giving help to marginalized communities and those people, but they're going to have to work for everything they get in life, and if they are just, staying at home doing nothing, they shouldn't get help. I'm not saying people do that, and that's most likely not, what people actually do, but they should have to work for everything they get in their life. But I am a proponent of giving a lot to those people that are making an effort in life. When you're in trouble, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I strongly disagree. You have to focus on, what you're doing to fix that problem. First-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I strongly disagree with this. They can for sure be fully integrated with their new country. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. I strongly disagree. Corporations are more focused on profit rather than anything else in most cases, so that's not necessarily going to help the common people, and we should be focusing on helping those people, and that's not necessarily what the corporations want. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I strongly disagree. I think that if you're an independent news source, you should be able to get public funding. I think, we have PBS, for example, which actually doesn't get that much public funding, but they are a pretty independent news source, and I think that is a good thing to have so that we can educate people. And our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I strongly agree with this. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in the democratic political system. Strongly disagree. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Strongly disagree. That's a slippery slope. If you're allowing surveillance of people that aren't wrongdoers, it's a slippery slope where it leads to, surveilling them for things you shouldn't be surveilling them for. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Strongly disagree. I'm against the death penalty. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I guess I agree with this. I think it's good to have some form of hierarchy, but it doesn't need to be that stratified as it is in our current society. Abstract art doesn't represent anything and shouldn't be considered art at all. I strongly agree with this. This is just my opinion. If you have, a different opinion on abstract art, that's fine. But this is just my opinion on what abstract art is. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I strongly disagree. I think rehabilitation works. It's been proven to work. And you can rehabilitate a lot of different kinds of people, and it does work better than punishment, because if you are sending someone to jail and you're just punishing them for their crime rather than teaching them how to become a better person, when they get released from jail and they, can't find a job, can't vote, can't do all these things, it's going to be very likely that they're going to end up doing another crime again. And so if you can rehabilitate them and bring them back into a society a better person when they came in, then they're going to be more functional members of society, and society will be safer and better overall. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. I strongly disagree with this. You can rehabilitate anyone. In my opinion, some people are, you could say are too far gone, but I think it's definitely worth it to make an effort. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I guess, I think I strongly agree with this. I think that, the business person and the manufacturer, create more economic growth for the country, and they're overall more important. Doesn't mean that writers and artists aren't important. I just think that these two groups are more important. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Strongly disagree. We're not living in the 1950s anymore. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. I strongly agree with this. I think this is, I strongly agree with that. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I guess I agree with this, but not very strongly about either side. Astrology explains many things. I strongly disagree. That's like horoscopes, those kind of things. That's, a bunch, just ridiculous. You cannot be moral without being religious. I strongly disagree. You can be a completely moral person and be an atheist. You don't have to be religious to have morals. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I strongly disagree. I don't think charity is necessarily going to help the people that are necessarily in the most dire need. Some people are naturally unlucky. Strongly disagree. It is important that my child's schools instills religious values. I strongly disagree. You don't need to put religious values in schools, especially public schools. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. Strongly disagree. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I do strongly agree with this. Of course, same-sex couples should be able to adopt people. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly agree. What goes on in the private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. The government should not be involved in that. No one can naturally feel homosexual. I strongly disagree. I think that's, if you are homosexual, that's a completely natural feeling. You shouldn't be telling someone that it isn't. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Strongly disagree. So, I finished the test. Some of you may be surprised about some of the results I've had. They did go by quite fast, but, obviously you can go back and see some of the questions I've answered, but my overall result is coming up right now, and you can see that I am, pretty libertarian down here, negative 2.63 to the left, and negative 7.18 to the libertarian. This test is skewed libertarian, so if you took another test, for example, I probably would not be this far down the libertarian axis, but That is what it does show for me. It shows them a little bit to the left, not as far as some people would be. You know, you'd have more left-wing politicians around this area. Most are not this libertarian. You know, more people, what I've seen from the political compass, are down in the libertarian area. Most aren't this far down, but, you know, it is skewed again to the libertarian side, and I think that is clearly evident based on this test. But yeah, these are my results. If you wanted to know more about my political ideology, that is, you know, a lot, shows a lot about it. If you want to see me take other tests, you know, just comment which I should do. 8 values is a good one. 9 axes is a long one, but I could do that too if you guys want. So please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see that. Comment down below what you also want to see, or if you have any opinions on my political views. But anyway, thank you all for watching this video. Again, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Those are both linked down in the description. But again, guys, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.